Hey everybody, Dave Clark, aka the Pattern Guy. Hey, we're in the pattern shop today. We're gonna make some sawdust. Alright, Foundry stuff we gotta get going. It's Thursday. I actually should be there right now. Pouring stuff. Family issues going on again here. So anyhow, what I figured we're gonna do is, it looks like I might, with these new guys, this new customer with a bunch of aluminum castings and that, looks like they're going to give me a little bit of a try, so I got to kind of get going on that stuff. And one of the things, like I said, we have a bunch of wooden flasks down at the Foundry, so I want to start making some aluminum flasks. It's going to be difficult because I got to get stuff done for them, but you know, we're going to have to get some of these aluminum flasks, you know, for the longevity, okay? And then I'm not sure how those wooden flasks are going to hold up too with the molding machine. Blaine's almost, you know, he's almost got that going. So, you know, that's a good thing. Hopefully in the next couple weeks. Still got to get up there. Still got to finish the plumbing. Joe's got to run the electric. I decided what I'm going to do is there's a used machine sales place. It's on the east side of Cleveland. It's about almost an hour drive from here, but it's 9 acres under a roof. It's called HGR. They got a great, you know, website. I do no sales for them or anything. I'm just telling you guys because the place is awesome. They got an awesome website. They got salesmen. They'll actually, I've got a couple customers in California that have ordered things there. You know, they'll crate it up and ship it out, and shipping's not as bad as you'd think, you know, a lot of times. So, and how inexpensive you can get stuff there too. It's worth its while, right? So anyhow, get back to like making some sawdust here. Okay, we got to do some flasks. So I have most all the patterns done. Like I said, I'm making that one system so you can take them apart and do the different configurations, the size configurations. So I primarily started on 4-inch sides. Okay, so I got most all the 4-inch side patterns done. However, I'm actually the Y pipes that I'm doing, those bronze Y pipes for the guy. I have 4 aluminum flasks down at the Foundry for those. I'm kind of there. I think there's something up with them. I'm not sure. So I just want to start making mine and making them better. And so I have most of the patterns done. And I was rummaging around. I got to make some 14-inch sides and don't have the pattern done. So it's like one of the only ones I got done up to, you know, 24 inches we got. So I'm going to show you how to make the sides real quick. And in doing that, there's a lot of pattern processes that I'm going to show you that's kind of neat with this. And I'm going to show you part of the process with this, and I'm going to explain it to you a little bit. And when I do things, you know, like I told you, I ramble a lot and that, and I like to liken things to stories or analogies, you know. And if I do that too, there are times when I'll say something and it's like I was talking about Joe during the one, how he clamped it. Yeah, it's no malice in this and that. It's, I truly believe it. You learn from your mistakes. So I've made tons of mistakes in my lifetime. So, you know, that's why I think I'm so smart, because I've pretty much learned from most everything I've done, and I've done a lot, believe me. So anyhow, I'll tell you, like, you know, one of the processes we're doing here. So anyhow, I kind of breaking my own rules in making these also. When I first started making them out, you know, I'm kind of hopefully I'm going to sell some of these to backyard Foundry guys. I mean, this is one of the things I see the backyard guys. They have to pay a lot of money for things and that, so I want to try to get some affordable equipment for those guys and that. And then, you know, I mean, primarily I'm going to use them on my own since I'm making the patterns. If I can sell them, we'll do that too. But anyhow, normally I don't like to use plywood for making patterns at all, okay? I shouldn't say at all. If I'm doing like a onesie thing and it's gonna get pit, you know, we're gonna throw it out or whatever, that's fine. But I normally don't like to do that. This to me, I'm gonna do so many different configurations. You know, I started making them all out of mahogany at one time, and it just, like I said, I'm getting low on my mahogany. This is just a way less expensive way to do it, and I figured if it gets to the point where, you know, down the road I'm hoping to make like half a dozen or maybe a dozen sets of flasks for myself. So, you know, if you can't get 12 sets out of a piece of plywood, you know, we should be able to do that. And then if it gets to the point where, you know, I'm selling them, making a lot of money, we can actually turn one of the castings into the pattern too, if we have to. It's going to be a little bit smaller shrinkage wise, but you know, when you're talking, you know, 10 by 12 flask, if you're off the 1/8 of an inch, not huge difference, you know. So I got some plywood, and the thing with this too is I'm using 3/16 for the side. This is actually 1/4 inch, but it measures up to 3/16. Okay, and it's kind of difficult to get 3/16 through a thickness planer without, you know, losing a lot too. So that's the other reason I'm doing this. But I'm making the rails too. I'm making the rails out of mahogany, and then this the sides, they only have rails on them. Okay. The ends, we got to put the ears on the ends, but like I said, I'm pretty sure I got all the patterns done for the ends, minus like, I think I'm up to 18 inches. I got to do like 20 and 24 or whatever. So, but that's, you know, I barely use flats that big anyhow, so that's getting heavy. So I'm not too worried about those. Okay, so one of the things, let me get one of these sides here. Hang on a sec. Okay, I usually like try to have everything here. Okay, but unfortunately I didn't. Okay, so I'm doing 3/16 on these things because I want to try to keep these as light as I can, because it's a thing where, you know, you're lifting up that mold, you got, you know, anywhere, you probably average 50 to 60 pounds of sand per mold, easy, you know. So I want to try to keep these as light as I can. That's why I'm making them out of aluminum. I could get steel channel and weld a bunch. It'd probably be way quicker, faster in that, but it's like I said, the steel ones are way heavier. Okay, so I've been using the 3/16. That's for the thickness here. Okay, and then I put this little panel on here. Okay, and the reason this is on here too is because I got these indentations in the back, and these are to grip the sand in the mold. Okay, so if, you know, I was just to leave the 3/16 like right at the top of those, there'd be like nothing there, you know. So we put this extra little patch in here, rib or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so that's how I make these things up. And then what I do is I'm making the ends, like I said, I want to try to make these like as standard as I can. Okay, so when I make the ends with the ears on them, those are going to be to the exact size. Okay, so it's going to be like if I have a 10/18 or, you know, 10/12 or whatever. So the 10 inches is exactly 10 inches. Okay, and I should have grabbed, let me go grab an end too. I should have grabbed this stuff. Okay, here's an end. Okay, we got the ear on it and everything. Okay, so I put these tabs on here at the end, all right? And what we're gonna do is this is a 12 end, okay? So what we're gonna do is this is 12 inches, all right? So what we'll do is we'll put this on the end here, all right? And then this side is going to bolt through, and then we'll tap the holes in this side here. Okay, so that's going to be tapped, drilled and tapped, and then these things, like I said, we'll be able to take them apart, put them together in different configurations, okay? So I said I want to keep these standard. So these are going to be 12 inches. Now, in doing that, okay, so this one's a 12/20, all right? So this, I'm just going to use a regular scale or ruler here, okay? So this, I believe, 7/8 of an inch. Okay, yep, that's 7/8. So with the ends, I gotta add 7/8 and 7/8 inch and 3/4. Okay, so it's a 20 inside. So I want the 20 inches on the inside. The 12/20 is 12 inches inside by 20 inches inside. Okay, so in doing that, I gotta add 20 inches. I gotta add another inch and 3/4. So this should be 21 and 3/4, which we got. Okay, so we're gonna work on the 14-inch ones today. Okay, so I got enough stock here, and like I say, usually I don't like to do plywood, but we're just going to use it. And then the other thing too, I've got 2 different sheets of plywood. My buddy Tony, he works for, he's a warehouse manager. They get plywood in all the time, so they get this real nice bendable, like it's just a little bit bigger than an 1/8 of an inch. So that's what I've been using for this stuff too. So I got like so much of that stuff, we're using that for those too. So I'll show you how we put that on. So like I said, usually I don't like to do the plywood thing, but we're going to do the plywood thing. Alright, mahogany. So this one's a little bit way too long, but what we're going to do is I'm going to start out, we're still way dirty in here again. Table saw is jammed up. Usually I'll just, you know, cut some off on the table saw, but we can't do that today because I got stuff in the way here. So what we're going to do is do some rough cutting here. So those ribs are 3/8 of an inch high. Okay, so from here up to the top of these ribs, it's 3/8. Okay, like I said, I want to keep these all standard. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, this is bandsaw cut here, so I'm going to go take this over on the sander and get a fresh cut on here, okay, so we can get, I just want to get it straight, okay, so I'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, like I said, it's going to be way easier on the table saw. I'm going to get a, don't forget too, these are aluminum, so we're going to do a aluminum shrink roll, okay, 3/16 of an inch. Alright, so like I said, we're just doing some rough cutting a little bit here. You know, like it say a million times, I want you to do as nice of a job as you can, okay? Here again, this stuff is for me. I wouldn't do this the way I'm doing it a lot of times. You know, for a customer. I definitely would not use plywood for a customer. Okay, so I'm going to take my marking gauge. I'm going to mark my 3/8, but I'm going to give it a little bit more, okay? So let me take this over to bandsaw. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm roughly 3/8, a little heavier because I got to take some off, but I got rough edges, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sanded side down, the sanded straight side. I'm going to get 2 straight sides with on the 2 straight edges, okay? So the sides, okay? And then from there, I'm going to mark it. We'll get the thickness, okay? And then from there, we're going to do the sides again, but on an angle, okay? So hang tight. Okay, real simple. The only thing I was doing is making sure they're square and they're straight, okay? So now, because I want to stand this up and do 3/8, alright? So I'm going to put 3/8 mark running down this side. I'm going to do it this side too to make sure, because this is going to be hard to keep this upright and sand. Actually, what I'm going to do too, I'm going to go cut this to length a little bit so I don't have as long of a thing. I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw. Hang on. Okay guys, I got my stuff, or my pieces roughed out, okay? So I've got my 3/8 sides, okay? Now I could have run that through the thickness planer, all right, or I could have taken it over on a drill press to use a pad, all right? But this is, you know, one of the ways, like I said, one of the most important, you know, pieces of machinery for you guys to get is a, you know, disc sander. So, you know, try to get one of those. So, and that's showing you a way that you can do it on the disc sander, okay? And then I made a mark both sides. That way you can make sure you're, you know, you're going good, okay? So while I was over there, I tilted the angle on 5 degrees. I put a 5-degree straight side, okay? Then the other thing what I did was I want to start laying out the sides, okay? So what I did, I got a straight, nice straight side. One of the things, you know, down the road, you know, after you get a couple pieces of machinery, if you could find a nice little, you know, layout table like this. This is, I got 2 foot by 3 foot or something. This is really a nice little size, especially for guys just starting out, smaller guys. You can usually pick these up very inexpensively. HTR, they got loads of them. You know, a lot of machine places, they got these. What happens is they get out of a lot of companies that do military stuff like we did at Arrow. We had a guy come in once a year and he would go over all the tools and he'd certify them. So, you know, these gets out of certification, but, you know, for doing what we're doing, these things are primo. You know, you could probably pick one of these up for 100, 200 bucks, all right? So yeah, one of the things you can do on there is you lay it on there, and I can't see any sunlight coming through or any light coming through, so those are nice and straight. Okay, the other thing too, always look around garage sales, flea markets, like I said, see if you can get a 2 foot scale or a 3 foot scale, you know, like steel rulers, okay? It's really dusty in here today, so it's getting in my sinus and everything. So, you know, even though you're not going to think you're going to use a standard rule, use them for a straight edge, okay? They're always, you know, nice and straight, okay? So you can put a 2 foot rule on there, make sure it's straight, okay? So what I'm going to do, and here's the important thing what I'm going to say, okay? So the lessons for today, basically, okay? So these sides they're a 1/4 inch on the top plus draft, okay? So, like I said, I've got 5 degrees on this side, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out a 1/4 inch, and this is kind of one of those things. I'm going to give it a little bit heavy, because what happens is this is on an angle, so my marking gauge is on an angle, so it's actually going to pull it back a little bit, okay? So, you got to give it a little more, okay? So, I'm going to get my 1/4 inch mark on the top, okay, get a nice mark there. Okay, so I gotta find my pencil here too, put my lines on here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start laying this out. Okay, so I'm gonna get my center of here, like I said, always as much as you can, work off of centers, okay, and I'll show you why. Let me grab a pencil. Hang on a second, okay. Okay, that'll help these old eyes here. So, put my pencil mark in here. Those are my sides, or edges. Okay, so I'm going to get the center of these 2 pieces. Alright, so, get the center. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take everything from the centers. You know, these particular things, they're not that big of a deal, like I said, but it's easier to do this. Like I said, it's the object of the lesson today. I'm going to show you why. Okay, and then too, the other thing, we got to put that center, like, you know, extra pad there to make it a little bit thicker. We got to put that on there too. So that'll make it a little bit easier in doing that too. All right, it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so what we want to do is normally with these 2, like I said, I should be a little bit more careful I started out doing these things for myself. However, I'm going to hopefully sell some. So I think I just made them at 4 inches. So I should have gone a little bit bigger because I got a machine off, but I want to machine as little bit off as I can. So I think I went to the top 4 inches. I'm just going to machine the draft off, hopefully. You know, so if I'm a little bit under, it's not a big deal. You know, they're just flasks, you know. So, but like I said, like in selling them, you know, you sell 4 inch deep. It's, we'll put a note, I guess, there. So, all right, so I'm going to measure out. I'm not so much, I should bring the chalk talk over here. I tell you what, let me get the board here and I'll hang on a sec. Okay guys, maybe this will help a little bit here, make it easier. We're going to blow this up a little bit too, okay? So I've got my 3/16 inch piece here, okay? And I just put my center line on there. Alright, so what I want to do, these are supposed to be 4 inches. Let's put these on here, okay? Alright, so those are my sides. So I want like 4 inches, 4 inches, get wobbly here. Alright, 4 inches top to top there. Alright, so don't forget I got draft on there and that. So I gotta compensate, you have to compensate for that, okay? So what I'm gonna do, this is a trick that I want to show you. And a lot of people, believe it or not, here like I said, this is out of malice or anything too. This is what I'm trying to teach you. This is where, you know, the guys that taught me, you know, my dad and Joe, okay, they taught me different ways. And I think, I don't know if I've said this one time, I had an apprentice working with me at Ford at one time. He's like, you know, basically what is it between journeyman and apprentices? Well, obvious, we know a lot more in that. But one of the biggest things we know a lot more than apprentices too are little tricks and shortcuts, you know, things like that, okay? So when I worked at Arrow, a lot of times we did a lot of big, tall jobs, okay, that went into real deep flasks, okay, and when you do that, when you do the deep jobs and that, it's hard for the molders to keep all the loose sand out of there and that, so you know, you take arrows and then it's going to be hard to blow all that loose sand out of the thing, right? So what what we used to do is, you know, say this is my pattern, okay, and you know, say this is like 2 feet tall. Alright, so that's basically going to make a 2-foot hole, deep hole in your mold. Okay, so you try to put the air hose in there and blow loose sand out there, and it's, yeah, you can vacuum it, whatever, but you know, you got to buy a bunch of vacuums for everything. You got to take the time to do it. It's, you know, all that stuff. So what they would do on there a lot of times is we'd put what's called sand traps on. And these primarily went on not so much a pattern, it wouldn't go on the pattern because you would be adding that to the casting. You don't want to do that. So what it would go on is like core prints and that, and they're called sand traps. So what the sand traps did was it made a little bit deeper of a hole so the guys could lightly blow. They could blow the sand down into these sand traps so it would, you know, hold the sand down there and not get in the way of, you know, setting the core down. If you get a bunch of loose sand in there, the core is not going to go all the way down, right? So what we would do was we would put, you know, pieces on like that, okay, and it would be the same as this basically, but this is part of the pattern, okay? So in doing these, like I say, I don't want to put people down in that, but it's surprising. We had a whole bunch of jobs. We had a job with a whole bunch of, it was different patterns, okay? So we had to put sand traps on a bunch of jobs. So the boss put me, I was an apprentice at the time, and a journeyman. He was a really nice guy, but he taught school for like 18 years shop or something like that. And he did it for, I think I've mentioned it before. And he did it so he could be the trainer for the football team. Well, they found out he didn't have a degree, so They ended up firing him. So he came back to pattern making. He was allegedly a pattern maker, you know, to begin with. So, you know, we'll give him, he was 18 years out of the shop and that. But anyhow, I was doing this job with this guy, and basically, you know, they said we want a 3/8 by 3/8 sand trap on there, okay? So what this guy was doing was he was cutting his 3/8 by 3/8 sand trap. He just cutting a bunch of strips with, you know, 5 or 10 degrees draft on or whatever. So he's over there trying to glue and pin these sand traps on. Well, in doing that, he was taking so much time. I would do 3 of them before he would have 1 done. And the reason why is because he had the outside sanded, and he was committed to that, all right? So, you know, he was trying to make this edge flush, and you got to do that. You can't have, you know, if this thing was like over it all, you know, you're creating an undercut, right? So, and then you don't, you know, it being in a little bit wouldn't be an issue too much. It just looked like crap. And at that shop, we didn't do that stuff, okay? So what I'm gonna do with these, and the reason I'm laying this out like this, okay? So I'm gonna make a figure, you know, so half is 2 and 2, but we're quarter, so that would be 1 3/4 plus a little bit of draft. So I'm gonna put a line from here to here, like maybe 1 11/16, right? Or something like that. So I'm going to go from here, 1 11/16 to here. Alright, and I'm going to put these 2 lines on these. Alright, so that's going to give me a place, like I said, I've got these cut with 5 degrees on there, so I'll line that 5 degrees up to that line, okay? So I got my 1/4 inch mark. I'm going to go cut this out on the bandsaw full. Okay, we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna add about another 1/8 of an inch on there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, on mine, okay, so I'm gonna be 1/8 of an inch over, rough cut like that, okay? So I've got my 1/4 inch mark up here, right there. So when I put these strips on my side pieces, all right, I'm going to glue them on there. Well, when they're done drying, the glue's dried, I'm going to go over on a bandsaw and I'm going to cut that outside edge and sand them. That way I'm there. You know, and when we were doing these, it's the same thing I do is I let these overhang a little bit. You know, I put my 3/8 mark in here, you know, go around my panel gauge, 3/8 mark. I'd get the inside, tag my pieces down, and then take the little block plane and boom, zap the outside, sanding block, and we're done. We're perfect. I wasn't trying to like, oh, match it, get everything flush and hammer nails in. No, I mean, you just whap all that stuff out real quick, you know. So that's the object of the lesson today. You know, a lot of times you get built from the inside out and then sand your draft on the outside after, okay? So that's how I'm going to go about doing that. And like I said, too, don't, anytime I say something, I'm just trying to get you guys to learn from that guy's mistake, okay? It's not no malice to anybody or anything. I'm not better than he is, you know. And then he's actually a great guy. I love that guy. He's a good guy. So, you know, like I said, if you hear me, I'm not putting people down, really. Okay, so let's, let me get rid of this board and I'll get to showing you this, okay? Hang tight, guys. Okay guys, back again here. I got these 2 rails cut out, okay? All right, so I've got, I can see it. Okay, I got my insides marked here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it up to the inside here. All right, and where I gotta be up here, okay? So how I'm gonna do this is, like I say, I'm gonna tell you guys how to, you know, start picking things up. Little thumb clamps, okay? These things are awesome, and that, you know, just try to accumulate as many of these as you can. Okay, I believe me, I've used all these at one time. You know, when I was going to town on these patterns, I used a ton of them. Okay, and you know, don't go in there by unless you got the money. I don't have the money all the time here, so. What I would do is, like, anytime I made a trip to the depot, I'd go run over and grab one or two of these or something, and, you know, kind of makes it less painful. You know, that's why I got the different colors too, you know. So, you know, if you want all the same colors or whatever, just, you know, if you got the money, buy them at one time. You know, buy them at one time here. So, okay, I take a little bit of glue. Okay, now, in gluing this too, you know, I've noticed a lot. Everybody glues things differently. Alright, you can take a brush it on, piece of cardboard, piece of scrap wood. I put a bead down, and you know, you get, like I said, you'll get to know how much to put on things to where it's got to squish out a little bit. Okay, now in this, unlike furniture making and other patterns, there's going to be some glue that's going to squish out down in the corner. But I'm going to put a big fillet in there later, so it's not, I don't care, I'm just going to leave it, and you know, we'll be fine with that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and glue and clamp these, okay? And I'm going to put probably about four of these per side, and then what's going to happen, I'm going to leave these, I'm going to leave these set for easy 4 hours. I mean, you should let, you know, very least 4 hours, because like I said, this is going to be a pattern. Like a you know, a permanent pattern, so I want to make sure that, you know, these things are going to be around for a bit, you know, so I want to make sure these are nice and glued on here. Like I said, if it gets to the point where I think I got to make a whole bunch of these things, like, you know, castings, like I said, I'll cast a set of these, and I'll just make patterns out of the aluminum castings. I'll lose a little bit on length in that, but I'm not too, you know, that'll be alright, you know. So I'm gonna do this both sides here. And like I said, I'm gonna leave these set. So in between, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do that right? Yeah, I did. Okay. Not seeing that great here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab a piece of that 1/8 plywood, and I'm going to make that center boss in there. Okay, and then I might be able to glue that on. That just gets glued on, but that one's going to get glued on with just the regular bar clamps. I might have enough room to do that with these clamps on. That way, you know, I don't have to do 4 hours and then 4 hours. You know, we should be able to squeeze these things in. But I just want to get these going here. Like I said, I might even do these. I might do these till tomorrow too, or something. Because like I said, I'm in a hurry for these, but I'm not. Okay. So anyhow, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make these other pieces. What I'm going to do is I actually, I'm kind of being deceitful here. I didn't make the 14-inch ones, but I found them, so I guess I made them. So I got them. They're not completely finished yet, though. That's what it is. So I've got the 14-inch ones done. So what I'm going to do next, I basically showed you how to, I wanted to show you, here, I'll show you this, okay? So you can see how I got my outside line. Okay, now we're just going to, when this is all glued or dried, we're going to put it up on sander 5 degrees, sand those, and we're done. Everything's going to be flush, you know, we don't have to fart around with nothing, okay? So that'll be done, then we'll cut them to length. All right, that's not going to be an issue too. Cut those to length. What I'm going to show you is on these how I got those little divots on the inside of the flask to hold the sand up. I'm going to show you how we do that, okay? It's a real simple process, but let me get everything ready to go on that particular process, and I'll turn the camera back on and start showing you that stuff, all right? Hang tight, guys. Okay guys, not quite ready to mount those other things yet real quick. I'll show you this real quick here. I made this centerpiece, like I said, out of plywood. I usually don't like to, but here's the thing too. Like I said, you know, start picking these thumb clamps up, and they had spring clamps, thumb clamps. I got 8 here, I got 8 over there. That's 16 right there, you know, that, and that's just two things, right? So same thing with the slip clamps. Okay, pick these up. Try to get with the slip clamps. It didn't work for these guys. These are Jorgensen. They went out of business. They're back in business. I think you can get these at Lowe's if you got Lowe's by you. All right, you obviously get them online. These are, I think these are Chicago. I think these are like Harbor Freight, but I didn't get these from Harbor Freight years ago. I got those years ago, and they're not the best. The problem with these cheaper ones, you know, it's great. You can go pick up a whole bunch. They're inexpensive. But the thing, you can't crank on these things. I mean, they slip a lot. And for this stuff, it's not too bad. I want to get some more Jorgensen one. I pretty much want to get 12 of each. You know, I've got, you know, 12 of each of a couple of them already, but you know, it's down the road. I got more important things, all right? So yeah, what I'm going to do is, like I said, these aren't cut to length yet. So what I'm going to do is put this on here. I'm at one end, all right? Take your ruler, measure. I got 4.5, so half of 4.5 is 2 1/4, right? So we'll get this down to 2 1/4. Put my knife mark. You only got to do one end. Okay, put a pencil mark. Okay, and like I said, you know how we put the center down. So put the center down this part. I needed it to get my arc. All right, make sure the arc's, so I got my center line. So all I got to do is put this on the center and hit that one mark, and it's where it's got to be. Okay, so we'll put this, we'll put some glue on here. Like I said, you'll figure out how much glue you're going to put on. I usually don't wipe it on here, and you know, you figure it out over the years, you know, how much you do. So a lot of times, like with pattern makers too, we just do what's called spot glue too. We don't put a lot of glue on, and the thing, you know, you think, well, longevity wise, you know, for your patterns and that, you know, it'd probably be a good idea to, I think we could just put one of these all the way across here. All right, I was going to go edge to edge, but I think we should be good in the middle here. It's looking. All right, so you just line your center line up. Yeah, I think we're going to be good on it. We're going to need as many as I thought we were going to need here. Yeah, so you think it would be, you know, you want to clamp as much as you can in that, but what it is a lot of times is you got to think, like I said, you'll figure out how much glue you put on things, right? And down the road, what happens if you got to do a repair on that pattern, or a lot of times what happens is, like I said, a lot of times what will happen is the company will, in order to save money a lot of times, what happens, like say something was built in the 70s, so they'll improve upon it in the 80s, so they make an improvement on it. Well, instead of building a whole new pattern, a lot of times what they'll do is just, you know, change the pattern or whatever. I mean, that's a big thing that happens a lot. You know, with the newer technology, not as much, but you know, it just does. So you know, you got to kind of find that sweet spot of too much and not enough. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, you get it. It's you know, over years, and you know, I use the old baseball analogy again too. You know, because I like baseball, but it's, you know, those batters. You know, they're in professional baseball players. They're in a batting cage every day, and it's you know, this stuff. It's doing things every day. You got to do things every day. One of the biggest things I know, especially for me, like I said, I've been, you know, I'm pretty versed in the wood stuff with with me welding. I'm a halfway decent welder, but it's kind of funny. I was actually talking to a buddy the other day about my welding skills, and it's funny because what I usually try to do is I like to try to save up my welding and do it all at one time, because I got to get, you know, I don't have a dedicated welding area kind of deal, so I got to get the welder out, you know. So it's funny because what happens with me is, you know, the first project I weld, you know, it's not bad, but it's not the best, you know. And then, you know, by the last project, I'm welding really good. You know, you gotta get back into it, kind of deal. So it's kind of funny that way, but it's you know, that's one of the biggest things, like I said, you know. So there you go. There's six of those clamps. You got 12. I'm down to half my clamps, right? So, and like I said, when I first started making these things, I was doing a whole bunch at one time. I wasn't just doing 2 at a time here. So they say I got most of the 4-inch ones done. So it's not a big deal. And I wanted to show you. So anyhow, we're gonna let that set. Let me get set up with the other part, and then we'll go from there. Okay, give me a minute. Okay guys, back in. Hey, I'm going to show you how you do these boards, alright? I had to go get a sheet of plywood. I was out of pieces that's big enough that I could use for this thing. So let me show you how I go about doing this, and I was just going to try to show you as much as I can. I don't want to make these things too lengthy, but anyhow, one of the things I was just saying was, you know, I'm trying to show you ways to do things. Okay, so here's my sheet of plywood. All right, I got you know, I don't have much room in here, okay? So basically what I got to do is, this is kind of on the dangerous side, okay? Drop my pencil here. All right, I just don't have room. This should be laying down. Okay, so one of the things, this is what I told you, like 4-foot straight edge, all right? So I got a mark up here, mark down here, okay, and I clamp this on, okay, and I'm gonna get my pencil line, okay. So a couple different ways you can do this, especially when you're just first starting out. One of the ones you could do is you can actually get a straight board and put up there and run your skill saw along there. That's probably the best way, especially when you're just getting starting out. That's the best way to do it, okay? Have this horizontal. That's a safe way. This is unsafe. Like I said, I have it, you know, to have room in that. So I'm just going to go ahead and zing this off with my skill saw, and then I'm going to cut my other side on the bandsaw. I'll show you how I do that, okay? But like I said, I can do this good enough, you know, straight enough. I'm going to sand all the sides, so, you know, it's just a rough cut. I'm not too worried about it, all right? So hang tight, guys. Okay guys, back. I cut the length of it. Okay, now we gotta cut the width. Okay, so what I did was how I'm getting the sizes of my boards, okay? Like I said before, every time I make a flask, I write it down in a book. I got a book with all my flasks, all my pin centers, okay? So what I did was I took my patterns and I laid them out on the board and determine what size flask I'm going to need, okay? So the closest I have for those flasks, it's like a 13 by 26, okay? Or 20, that wasn't right, I'm sorry. It's a 13, 18, I'm sorry, we got to do 26 board, okay? So it's 13, 18, all right? So 13, my sides of my flasks are wooden flasks, so 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 3/4, 1.5 inches. So I got to add 1.5 inches to 13, which is the inside, okay? So that'll be 14.5. Okay, now this too, say do it as good as you can all the time. This is a pattern board. I just use my regular framing square. Sometimes I'll get my bigger square out. I'm just gonna use my old carpenter's framing square. All right, so I gotta go what did I say that was? 14 and a half, okay? I'm gonna do 14 and a half. Yeah, I'm just using my pencil too, okay? It's gonna be good enough. All right, like I said, it's for a Foundry board, okay? But the biggest thing you want, the most important thing with these boards is that it's flat as you can get it, okay? Now, there was, where we're at, Home Depot's the closest, Lowe's is quite a bit away, and we're just getting Menards, but that's actually up at my mom and dad's house, so I've been in there. They do have quite a bit of selection of wood. So anyhow, I just went up to the Home Depot here. They used to have, it was called sanded one side, but it was different than the traditional sanded one side. I always use 3/4 boards for my stuff. Some of my customers, they want inch thick boards. Okay, Freeman Manufacturing actually has this board. This is nice. It's plastic coated. That's all we used at Arrow for match plates, plywood match plates. It is expensive, so that's why, you know, I don't use it, especially for my stuff. I'll just give this a coat of paint. So I'll use the 3/4. The most important thing, like I said, just need to have it have it flat. Okay. Other than that, you know, you should be good to go. Right now, the least expensive plywood that stays flat is a cabinet birch. So I just got a piece of cabinet birch. So I'll be able to make, you know, easy 9 to 12 boards out of that board, you know, so out of one sheet of plywood for match plates. So it's worth it, you know. It was like a little expensive, but it's good. So let me show you this real quick. I'll be right back. Okay guys, like I always say, I want to try and make this stuff as standard as I can. Okay, so here's one of the things I do. Like I said, my one customer hates it, but I always cut the corners off, alright? So I got my width on here, and then I just cut out a little 45 block. I put that on all the corners, and just trace it out on here. And I mean, to me, I don't want to be knocking into like a sharp corner all the time. That's why we did this at Arrow too. All the corners were knocked off like this. So that's kind of a tradition that I do here. So you guys know how to use a bandsaw. I'm just going to bandsaw these and then take it over to sander and sand it up. Okay. Okay guys, real easy. I got my board cut out. Alright, and next all I'm going to do, I'm going to get my centers on here. I'll keep your centers on here. Let me move you guys over here a little bit. Keep a little more centered, hopefully. So, just, you know, this, here again, you can just do pencil lines, just kind of getting stuff set up, okay? It's not, this particular part of it's not that big yet, okay? So this is what I'm doing this for, is so I can drill my center holes in that. You know, like I said, standardize your pin centers, okay? And then this one actually is 22 inches, so you know we'll find the middle of the board, which is I know it's 26, so we'll put a mark at 13, and then let's just, for giggles, we'll check it, and we're there. Okay, so I got a square here. Just use this regular square. Okay, this square is not going to go all the way up. I got my 2/4 out, so I can just park it next to it. Okay, again, like I said, it's going to be close enough. Okay, now next thing I do, I got my centers on my board. Okay, next thing I do personally, and I do this is because I don't want to have to cut another sheet of plywood, so it's a little bit redundant what I got to do. So I said we're doing a 13 by 18. Okay, so half of 13 is 12 and a half, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to draw out the inside portion of the flask. Okay, and then that will give me, that way I know for sure where my pattern is going to be able to go. Okay, and you know, if you want, by all means, to do this with the, you know, with your knife, do it. But I don't think it's not necessary really. Okay, so 18. So I got to go 9 and 9. 9, and I'm just going to use my square to put my vertical lines here. Okay. Alright, so this is the inside. It's inside the flask, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to put a pattern on here for aluminum. Alright, and it's smaller. These two, we're going to mount these two in here. Alright, so with this, for sure we can just come in off the inside of the flask by an inch, okay? So most rulers measure them. Most rulers are exactly an inch. So I do a redundant process here where I just put my ruler down on the inside of the flask, and what I'll do, I got a green pencil here. Okay, what I'm doing is I'll have a green line, that's my go line. Okay, this go line, I'll show you in a minute. Why I do this is that's the closest to the flask side that I want my pattern, okay? Alright, so it's redundant, but this it cuts down on mistakes. Like I said, I got to pay for this plywood, so I don't want to do that. Okay, so here's my flask line, and here's my line where that's as far out as the pattern can go. Okay, so these two patterns, they're really easy, and actually I measured these things out, so end for end, it's right there. You know, I got an inch at the end. Alright, so I'm going to do that, and this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit here too. I'm going to put a green line again on the inside. This is going to show me exactly where my pattern is. Okay? Then I'm going to get center, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that from there. Okay? So these are 2.5, or I'm sorry, it's 14 and an 1/8. So 2 1/16. Let me get my sharp pencil here. 2 1/16. Like I said, this is going to be good enough in pencil. Actually, what I'm doing right now is going to be part of the pattern, but like I said, this is going to be good enough here for what we're doing. I'll show you. We're going to rely on the machine to make this accurate. Okay? I just want to get kind of a reference. This is kind of a reference line. All right. All right. So let me do one more line before I pick this up and show you. Okay. Here's my layout, guys. I got my green line, that's the farthest out I can put my pattern. I put the pattern up next to that, got my center, then I put some stop lines here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do that with this over at the mill. Okay, so hang tight and I'll get you over by the mill. Okay guys, over here on the mill, got this set up. So basically I struck my lines on here. All I did was I measured out from the table out to the edge, so I know I'm nice and straight. Okay, I got a 1/2 inch ball mill in here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get it centered on the center line. Okay, then what I'm going to do is each of the other grooves are 1 inch over. So I'm just going to zero out my readouts. I'll go -1 inch, +1 inch, and get the other ones to the stop. Okay. Then I make them 1/8 of an inch deep. speed this up. Okay, this kind of stuff, you know, I go about 18,000 RPM. We don't have that on this machine. So we do want to go the fastest because it'll end up tearing up the wood. Okay, so wood, unlike metal, you know, we want the RPMs going up. Okay, so get this going as quick as we can here. Like I said, it's we're limited on this machine. Okay, there you go. Bring you up close, show you. Okay, there you go. I got all 3 slots in here. You can see the green line, that's where the pattern ends, okay? So, alright, we got this. I'm going to do the other one. I'm going to show you one that's done because this video I think is getting a little lengthy here. So, hang tight again. I'll set you up and show you how this is done. Okay guys, the magic of film. What we're going to do is, don't want to go too long. I think this is way too long. So here's one I already got done. Okay, so here's the pattern mounted. Okay, there's my patterns. Okay, now here's the other side. Okay, now what I do is this red part, remember I paint my patterns red. So this part right here is actually part of the pattern even though it's on the board, okay? It's on the parting line of the board, okay? So I basically, you know, cut a line in here and then painted this red. I know it is, but it's important to do this like in a foundry. That way the guys, you know, if they just see it all gray, they're gonna be like, where's the other half of this pattern or what, you know? So this is the other half of my pattern, okay? And we got these 3 indents in there. And then that will allow us to make the castings for the sides of the flask, okay? So anyhow, I'm gonna let you guys go here. With those 2, with the indents there, the grooves, obviously a lot of guys aren't gonna have a milling machine. It's just, that's the easiest way for me to do it. Another way you can do it is a router with a core box bit in there, okay? If you don't do that, if you don't have a router, you don't have a milling machine, what you can do, you can actually stick, you know, something sticking up too, which will stick out into the flask. It's gonna, you know, make your flask a little smaller too, but you know, you can have some ribs sticking out in there too to hold the sand, but you gotta hold that sand up, otherwise you're gonna pull the flask up and it's gonna fall apart, okay? So there are those. Hopefully Sunday we'll get down to the foundry, show you guys, we'll pour some of these, I'm hoping. I'm not sure we'll have the 14-inch one done, possibly, because like I said, I gotta get going on those. I gotta get going on, I gotta get the ends too. I gotta get a lot of the ends going, and I gotta get some of these flasks done, okay? So we'll try to get down to foundry. I'll try to bring the camera down there, so we'll show you pouring some aluminum this week, all right? I got that Y pipe almost all the way done, master wise. I'm gonna have to pour some plastics and get that job going. So once that job's going a little bit further, I'll show you where I'm at with that one too. I gotta do, like I said, I gotta do some doors. Cylinders are still sitting there, you know. So hopefully this week was messed up for me. Hopefully we're done like with the mess ups this week here. So you know, families, I got to get some work done in here, and I'm so far behind. So anyhow, with that said, you know, everybody that's already subscribed, I really appreciate it. We got a couple bump ups there really quick there. Keep it going. You know, like I said, I want to keep these videos going, teach you guys as much as I can. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the like button. And with all that, everybody have a good one, and definitely stay safe. Okay, here we go. Another day of hard work. Just cruising on the porch. That one's sleeping there. Oop, woke him up. Sorry there, buddy. That wake you up. Hell, that working. You work hard today, Range? Huh? Yeah, I don't know what you did, but you worked hard, didn't you?